have more than a one-seat majority in both the House and the Senate. And then we will be able to pass the laws that we will need so that everyone in Arizona has confidence in our elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaynor. Mr. Salmon, do you believe in audits? Do you believe in voter ID? And what steps would you take to implement better election integrity in the state of Arizona?
Yes, I do believe in the audit, and I also visited the audit. I met with the folks that were tirelessly working on our behalf to make sure that we have a fair and free election, and God bless them. I agree with everything that's been said about the heroism that they showed. I also believe that if you don't show an ID, you shouldn't be able to vote in this state. I believe that with all my heart. In fact, 92% of the election last year was done by mail. And there's no voter ID requirement for mail voting. That's crazy. That's stupid. And as far as voter integrity, does anything else even really matter? I mean, if we don't have voter integrity, none of these other issues matter, because if we're electing people that are gonna steal elections, then they're gonna do the things that we don't care about anyway. So we've gotta get it right. So I've introduced a 10-point plan. Let me say before that, Katie Hobbs, that's probably the person that one of us is gonna face, and I hope it's me because I'll tear her to shreds. But the fact is, she supports HR 1. HR 1 would federalize our elections. We've got to stand up and fight that with everything we got. It would get rid of our ban on ballot harvesting in this state. So we've got to fight that with everything that we've got. But I put together a 10-point plan, and it includes a permanent ban on ballot harvesting, no voter ID, no vote. It also includes 60 days before the election, no judges can change anything in the election like they did last time. Like tell poll watchers they can't watch, or they can watch from 30 feet away because of COVID. Also, any candidate should be able to challenge the election, and if they're willing to call for a recount and pay for it, they should be able to do that. But let me also say this, those are permanent fixes. I personally believe this is so important that for the next election, and I'm calling on Governor Ducey, remember I said we should have a special session to deal with election integrity. Let's get back to hand count paper votes.
Yeah!
And get away from these crazy machines.
Yeah!
Because they can be hacked into. And let's also do it on the same day, on election day. These are the most safe ways that we can do it, and get back to precinct voting. These are the things that I believe will really bring back voter integrity into our elections. And it's a sacrifice that we should all make, but isn't our freedom worth it? Isn't having a fair election worth it? I believe it is. So, of course I believe in ID, and of course I believe in the audits, but let's go a few steps further and make sure that our elections are fair and free, and that they actually mean something.
Thank you, Mr. Salmon. Ms. Lake, I know you are on a time crunch, and I want to be respectful of that. So if we have one more question, you are so welcome to do that.
It.
Awesome, okay.
Go for it.
Let me know if you have to go. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next topic, which is how will you make Arizona great again? How will you, Ms. Lake, protect us from the feds? And what I mean by that is lately we have seen more than ever a huge overreach from the federal government down into our states. What will you do to combat this and protect our liberties?
I really don't like the federal government. Is anybody else just up to here? You know, we've been sold out. We've been sold out by our lawmakers, our leadership, our political elites. They've allowed this to go on for a long time. And we saw a lot of this when the pandemic started. We realized that we were not strong as a state. We used to have manufacturing way back in the day. We don't have manufacturing anymore. So when we all went to the stores to buy food when we had the shutdown, remember the 15 days to slow the spread? And the store shelves were bare, you'd think we would have learned a lesson. And now we're facing store shelves that are going to be bare again. We haven't learned a lesson. We've been led and run into the ground by the federal government. So as a state, we need to start looking out for ourselves. We need to look out for Arizona, not California, not New Mexico, Arizona. Our supply chain is about to go into a complete nightmare. We are gonna have a really hard time. I think it's gonna be a tough Christmas. I think by the time the election rolls around that we just talked about, we're gonna be in a recession and seeing inflation or stagnation. And so my plan is to make Arizona great again. And we're gonna bring the Trump economy to Arizona. And remember, anybody here remember, it didn't get a lot of coverage, unfortunately, in the corrupt media, but the opportunity zones that President Trump brought, they were amazing. It worked incredibly well. I want to bring resiliency zones to Arizona. And by that I mean, if you want to start up production, manufacturing of essential items, whether it be toilet paper or medicines, we cannot rely on China anymore. We've been sold out by our officials to China. So we have to start by building up Arizona. And yeah, we can hold up our middle finger, or we could say, let's go Brandon, or whatever they're saying. But those are just words. We need to just start looking out for Arizona. We need a governor who's going to bring back manufacturing to Arizona. We're watching our state being dragged through the mud, all of our states. And we need some strong governors. We have one in Ron DeSantis. I think Kristi Noem made some great choices, pushing back against what the federal government was trying to do. We have a great governor in Iowa, Governor Reynolds, who said, we're not going to have the pandemic anymore. It's an endemic here. And we should bring an endemic to Arizona so that they can't keep pushing this pandemic stuff on us. So it takes strong leadership. It takes the ability to say, we're going to bring the state together. We're going to bring back manufacturing, and we're going to build it in Arizona. We're going to hire Arizonans, and we're going to buy Arizona products. And then we can ship them out to the rest of the 47 contiguous states. But we're going to look out for Arizona first, and we just have to stop relying on the federal government and, frankly, get off the teat of the federal government.
Thank you, Ms. Lake. Mr. Gaynor, how will you protect us from the feds? And what I mean by that is we have recently seen a huge overreach of the federal government into our state. What would you do as governor to protect us from this?
You're right. There has been a tremendous overreach by the federal government. First, and most importantly, the Constitution shows us that the states are sovereign. The states have rights. The states are the ones who created the federal government. So there's a limit to federal power as a constitutional matter, but many governors have been unwilling to assert that right. I would not hesitate. When Joe Biden comes down with a vaccine mandate, my answer is no way. You can take the vaccine if you want, but not in Arizona. You can wear a mask, but you're not going to force people in Arizona to wear one. The second thing is that the legislature can create a sanctuary of protection in the state. We've already done this with the Second Amendment. Arizona is a sanctuary state for the Second Amendment. If the federal government enacts a law that conflicts with our rights, no law enforcement in Arizona will enforce that unconstitutional law. We need to do that across the board so that any unconstitutional federal law or mandate will not be enforced in Arizona. That has tremendous power because the federal government has a lot of money, but they don't have enough people to enforce laws in Arizona. Number 3, Arizona must become self-reliant. It's unrealistic for us to manufacture all the goods that we use, but there are certain goods that are essential. For one thing, our agriculture must be turned towards self-reliance. We must raise the food here that we need. We must have water resources for the long run and not rely on the outside. And finally, pharmaceuticals. I will bring the pharmaceutical industry to Arizona, and we will stop relying on China for essential goods, including pharmaceuticals like antibiotics. When Arizona is self-reliant, we'll be in a position to tell the federal government to stick it, and that's what we need to do.